What if the lost years of Jesus were filled with laughter, mischief, and epic road trips? Beat. Meet the Messiah's best friend and buckle up. Setting the stage, a very different Bethlehem. Our story opens not in a solemn manger scene, but in a cramped carpenter's house where young Joshua, whom the rest of the world will one day call Jesus, shares a bunk with his foul-mouthed, big-hearted best friend, Levi Bar Alphaeus, nicknamed Biff. Beat. Through Biff's irreverent eyes, we witness a childhood that's equal parts miracle and mud pies. Angels lurk on rooftops. Roman soldiers hustle bribes. And the boy's favorite pastime is sculpting animals from clay so Joshua can breathe them to life, only to release them back into the wild before Mary finds out. Moore grounds the humour in meticulous first-century detail. We smell olive oil sizzling over hearth fires, hear merchants hawking dates in the dusty streets, and wince as kids practice stoning faux adulterers for sport. Beat. Amid the slapstick, foundational themes emerge. Young Joshua senses an emphasis calling toward universal compassion, saving lizards from neighborhood bullies, even when the bullies carry real slings. Biff, by contrast, loves wine, wordplay, and imagining the world's first sarcasm contest. Their friendship presents the novel's first big idea. Holiness and humanity can coexist, sometimes uneasily, often hilariously. By age 13, Joshua knows he's the Messiah, but not what kind. Is he to be a warrior king, a scholar, or something entirely new? Beat. The local rabbis can't help. Their scrolls end at Malachi. So the boys embark on a quest for wisdom, launching the book's road novel engine and introducing a second idea that Moore returns to again and again. Spirituality is an evolving conversation, never a closed book. The Quest for the Three Magi, comedy on the Silk Road. Biff and Joshua follow a cryptic childhood memory. The three magi who once visited the manger might possess clues to Joshua's destiny. Beat. Thus begins a decade-long journey eastward through camel caravans, Persian ziggurats, and Himalayan passes, rendered in prose so visual you can almost feel the grit in your sandals. First stop, Balthazar's fortress in desert-ringed Antioch, a castle brimming with alchemical gadgets and exotic animals, including a pet lion that hates Romans but plays fetch with Biff's sandals. Beat. Here, Joshua studies Taoist-flavoured mysticism, while Biff develops a crush on Balthazar's enigmatic concubine. Their contrasting paths dramatize Moore's second theme. Every seeker wrestles with both flesh and, emphasis, spirit. Next, the travelers reach Gaspar in India, where they practice meditation among yogis who can levitate or claim to when nobody's looking. Joshua learns the discipline of nonviolent resistance. Biff learns the Kama Sutra. Beat. The humor never undercuts the sincerity of Joshua's lessons. Instead, it highlights them by counterpoint, proving enlightenment doesn't require solemnity. Finally, atop a snowy monastery roof in China, they meet Melchior, who exposes Joshua to Buddhism's compassion for all sentient beings. Joshua masters Kung Fu's defensive forms. Imagine the Messiah blocking spears with open palms, while Biff invents the first cappuccino by accidentally whipping yak butter tea. Across these episodes, the narrative threads cohere. Joshua absorbs global philosophies, Taoist balance, Hindu ahimsa, Buddhist mindfulness, to craft a new ethic of radical love. Beat. Moore implies that Christianity's future power might arise from its willingness to learn, borrow, and synthesize. Meanwhile, Biff's bawdy escapades remind us that growth rarely occurs in a straight line. Miracles, ministry, and marketplace mayhem. Returning to Galilee at 30, Joshua must translate eclectic wisdom into everyday deeds. Beat. He gathers fishermen, tax collectors, and former zealots, forming a ragtag fellowship that doubles as a stand-up troupe when Biff's around. Think of the Sermon on the Mount, punctuated by backstage jokes about lousy acoustics and seagull droppings. Miracles unfold with trademark more flair. Joshua turns water into wine after Biff complains the wedding vintage tastes like goat spit, multiplies loaves when Biff forgets lunch for 5,000, and walks on water mostly to placate Biff's bet that he can. Yet each spectacle carries weight. The water-to-wine scene underscores hospitality. The loaves showcase communal sharing. The lake stroll demonstrates trust over fear. Beat. Refracted through Biff's sarcasm, the wonders feel surprisingly grounded, magic with calloused hands. Conflict escalates as Joshua's message of unconditional love threatens both Rome's power and the temple's profit machine. Biff stages comedic diversions, selling genuine Messiah-signed souvenirs, for example, to buy Joshua time with the crowds. Beat. But satire gives way to tension when Joshua overturns money changers' tables, crystallizing Moore's critique of institutions that monetize faith. Here the novel's third core theme surfaces. Emphasis, justice, is inseparable from compassion. Amid plotting Pharisees and suspicious centurions, Joshua predicts his own death, leaving Biff desperate to rewrite fate. Their late-night dialogues crackle with emotion. Joshua serene, Biff furious, each insisting loyalty means different things. Moore juxtaposes cosmic purpose against human attachment, asking whether true love allows or demands letting go. The passion. According to Biff, love, loss, and the punchline. Inevitability arrives. Beat. Judas, portrayed not as villain but as strategist, agrees to the infamous kiss, believing it will trigger revolt and reveal Joshua's divinity publicly. Biff tries bribery, smuggling, even faked prophecies to derail the plan, yet the gears of history grind on. Moore's retelling of the Passion balances reverence with irreverence. Soldiers bumble while arresting Joshua because Biff glued their sandals. Pilate practices speech-making in front of a bronze mirror. Beat. Nonetheless, when nails bite flesh, the humor recedes, leaving raw grief. Biff hides beneath Golgotha's slope, powerless, hearing the hammer strokes sync with his heartbeat. 3 days later, he bursts into the tomb to find it empty, and Joshua alive, luminous, already half outside the mortal plane. Their final conversation is tender, funny, and heartbreaking. They reminisce about boyhood lizards. Joshua thanks Biff for being the world's first comic relief. Beat. Knowing humanity still needs laughter, Joshua commands Biff to record the untold story. Angels knock Biff unconscious, preventing his interference with the resurrection narrative, and imprison him in a hotel room 2 millennia later with only room service and modern television for company until he finishes this gospel. In this metafictional twist, Biff's manuscript becomes the book we're summarizing, underscoring the theme that stories evolve through the lenses of their tellers. Beat. The section closes on an image of Biff stepping into sunlight after completing his task, unsure whether the next chapter is redemption or oblivion, but certain that love plus humor equals hope. Emphasis, hope,